possible that we're going to see people turned away because of simply the lines that have formed?
They can't all get into the Vatican City. It's a very, very small, and the area right in front of the Basilica is large by any standards, but nowhere near large enough to handle 2 or 3 million people. They will be literally across the Tiber by the time this ends, but they want to be there.
And by the way, we should point out, those are the estimates of the number of people showing up to pay their respect.
The number of people in line to see the Pope passed 1 million tonight. Officials are now turning away the mourners. They say the line is just too long. Here's a live look at the thousands of people. Actually, this is just outside Vatican City. It is nearly 3 a.m. there. And the wait, we understand, is about 10 hours to see the Pope's body.
It is a magnificent place, yet it is the people your eyes are drawn to. Some 10 across in a never-ending line all the way through the Basilica. Some do have the latest, a cell phone that takes pictures. They flash a quick shot. It is this man, Karol Wojtyła, who became John Paul II, they come to see. Who can't help but think, in a world with many differences, one man makes millions to think beyond that.
The Pope is so important, so I want to see it, to see him.
12 hours, Paula from Milan waited. It cannot be said too many times, like no other person, Pope John Paul II has touched the world, and with that, each individual person has a story to tell.
Till we are in.
What if it's all night?
And then it's all.
And as you look at those live pictures from here at Vatican City, the line has been cut off in order for the Vatican to clean, and realizing that only so many can get through. Interestingly enough, one of the very last who will be able to get through for this public viewing is Michael Balog from Los Angeles, California, who said that he was watching it all on television and said he was a Catholic and felt he had to be here. Hopped on a plane, and here he is. Reporting live from Vatican City, Marianne Ahern. Chuck and Colleen, back to you.
All right, Marianne, thank you. Here's what happens.
Passions flare at the Vatican tonight. As you can see, these are mourners. They're racing past the barriers for a final look at Pope John Paul II. But mostly it is peaceful and reverent as the Vatican now sets a cutoff for those incredibly long lines.
Tonight, the people in Rome are urging would-be pilgrims to change their plans because the city just cannot support any more of the throng still pouring into the city. Here's a live picture from St. Peter's Basilica, where again the lines are still long, but thousands were turned away today so the Vatican can prepare for the funeral on Friday. Here's how those lines look by satellite, a much different view of the masses as they wind through the streets here in Rome. One of the last people in line is actually a man from Southern California. Channel 4's Steve Handelsman is at the Vatican tonight.
The line to St. Peter's is still a mile long. The wait still many hours for the faithful to pay last respects to John Paul. But Vatican officials tonight said enough, no more, and closed the line. At the very end, maybe the last person in the public to see John Paul will be Michael Balog of Los Angeles. TV coverage wasn't enough for him.
Got hooked watching it. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get off my couch and come here.
The top American delegation went to the head of the line today. President Bush, his wife Laura, former Presidents Bush and Clinton, and Secretary of State Rice. John Paul II had criticized the Iraq War and throughout his papacy urged the U.S. to do more to help the poor. But President Bush called the Pope a champion of freedom. Catholics are streaming into Rome for Friday's funeral by train, by car, cramming into buses. Police warn that Rome is too old, the streets too tight to handle so many people. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Vatican City.
The unofficial U.S. delegation filed past the Pope's body to pay their last respects. Those on hand included Senators Kennedy, Kerry, and Dodd. Their visit comes on a busy day for the Vatican as it prepares for the Pope's funeral and releases his last will and testament.
Thousands of mourners are still waiting at the Vatican, hoping to see the Pope's body before the viewing period ends tonight. Terry Ruggles from Philadelphia's NBC station WCAU has more on the long lines that greeted mourners trying to say their final goodbye.
When police marked the end of the line, well over 1 million people were queued up to view Pope John Paul II inside the Basilica. Michael Balog was near the end of the line. He flew in late yesterday from Los Angeles.
Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get off my couch and come here.
Inside the Basilica, the crowd was quiet, some crying, their visit brief. Ushers saying, "Andiamo, andiamo," move along, move along.
He was like a father, to all the Polish people, and especially he was very close to us. It's very emotional for us.
As the faithful filed by the Pope, his College of Cardinals worked behind the scenes, preparing the funeral proceedings to meet the Pope's written instructions.
His body in a wood casket will be lying on those stone steps, very near where he sat for year after year.
Pope John Paul II will be buried in 3 coffins, first wood, then lead, then a third of wood.
In the sanctuary area, the crucifix and the image of the risen Christ. The choir is chanting eternal rest granted.